Okay, good morning and welcome to Just Daf It. We're learning today Daf Sadi Zayin Amud Aleph, number 97. Yevamos. We're getting closer to 100. It's a pretty big number. Today we're going to be starting a new parak, the 11th parak. 11th parak. Wow, we are really moving over here. 11th parak. We're talking about a couple of different things here. We're talking about, first of all, about if the child you had when you raped a woman, and you had a child, is that considered to be like your wife or not? Is it considered like your wife if your father rapes a woman or your son rapes a woman? Or he seduces her. Seduces is just, I guess, a fancy way of consent. I know there is consent over there, but it's not out of wedlock. It's not in wedlock. It's still called pitoy. Pitoy is, there's a penalty also for pitoy. Seduces. Most women don't want to get married out of wedlock. If they do have sex with you out of wedlock, then it's really just seduction. So what is the status of this? Are they considered married, not married? We'll see. There's relevance to different halachas. All right, let's start from 2 dots on side and I'm off the top, about 10 lines down. We're going to finish off explanation of the last mission. Or minu, we said that whether you're a 9-year-old and 1 day who has bia, or you're a sris, meaning someone who's 20 years old and hasn't had 2 simanim, he hasn't had 2 pubic hairs, so therefore he's judged also, his bia is like Maimer Bagol. It's not a full bia. It's just like a partial bia, like a Gadol did Maimer to Menu. We asked for a Bais Ben Esrim, Shana, Lo Shalo Hevi Shtei Saros, Yaviu Raya Shu Ben Esrim. If he's 20 years old, he hasn't brought Saros. You bring a proof that he's 20 years old, bring his driver's license, he's 20 years old, who was Sris, and he's a Sris, right? If he was the person who died, his brother doesn't do chalitza or yibam, or if he's the brother, he doesn't do chalitza or yibam. There's no yibam maestris. Bas esrim shana shalohivi shtei saros. Also, a girl is 20 years old and she doesn't have 2 pubic hairs. If you raya, she bas esrim. Bring in proof that she's 20 years old. He islandess local as them sevemis. There's no concept of chalitza yibam by islandess. We learned many times in the Sefta. So anyway, you see that you have to bring proof over here. No, what the Mishnah is talking about is not just a case where he doesn't have 2 hairs and he's 20 years old. He actually has simani sris, meaning you see we have like 5 or 6 simanim in Paraka Arel, like when he goes to the bathroom, doesn't make an arch or something drips out, things like that. That's simani sris. That's what the Mishnah is talking about. That's why you don't have to bring proof he's 20 years old. Right? It says in this brisa he's a sris. Right? Shmamina. Right? Based on that proof that he's 20 years old, that proves him to be a sris. Not the Mishnah was talking about where he's nodulo simani sris. So if he doesn't have simani sris, right? So when is he considered a sris? Sorry, basically the Mishnah basically agrees with this brisa. It's basically saying the Mishnah, he's a sris, is when he's 20 years old and you prove that he's a sris. You have to prove that he's a sris, and that's what the brisa is saying also. The brisa is not arguing. The brisa is saying, who a sris, the sris is toloi on not just not having 2 pubic hairs, but he has to have 1 or more simanim. We discuss either all the simanim or 1 siman at least. So he goes to the bathroom, it doesn't form an arch, it's urine, so therefore he's proven to be a sris. If he doesn't have simanim sris, when do you consider him to be a sris? Amarava. The Gemara says that most of his years have passed by. So most people live at least 70 years. So once he turns 36 years old, most of his life has passed by. He doesn't have 2 pubic hairs. Even if he doesn't have simani sris, right? His urine forms an arch. It doesn't matter. He's considered a sris. If he doesn't have 2 pubic hairs is the ultimate sign, and therefore, I got married when I was 35, before 36. But I had 2 hairs when I was 13. All right. Another law, Gemara says, when they came in front of Rava, if he was a very skinny person, and we're not sure if the guy's a sris or not, he would say, go eat some more food. He's a very fat guy. Tell him, go on a diet. Again, the end-all sign of being a sris, right? If you don't have any simani sris, but you don't have 2 pubic hairs, he would tell him, wait, you don't have any simani sris, you're probably a gadol. You probably had 2 pubic hairs, but they fell out because either you're too fat or you're too skinny, so therefore he told him to go on a diet or to gain some weight, and therefore will really determine whether he can grow 2 pubic hairs and be deemed a gadol. That is the end of the Mishnah. Hajra Allah Isha Rabba. That is the end of the 10th parak. 10 prakim. Yevamos. It's pretty darn good. All right. Next parak. Nosan al anusa vel mafuta. Meaning, if you're ma'anis a woman or you're mafata her, so you can marry and you have a child with her. I'm sorry, you don't have, even if you don't have a child with her, you're allowed to, or if you do have a child with her, you're allowed to marry that daughter, right? Normally in the Torah, you're not allowed to marry a mother and her daughter or a mother and a granddaughter. If the mother is not really married to you, it was just an onus, you raped her and you had a child, so you can get married to that daughter. Onus and mafata, I'm sorry, you can't get married to that. She's your daughter. You can't get married to your daughter. It means that she had a daughter from a different man. If your ma'ani is that woman, then she's not considered in part of the Isra of a mother or a daughter. You can marry the daughter. If she's your daughter, you can't marry her. That's obvious. All right. Onus and mafatal and asua chayiv. But if you married, but if she was married to you, then you can't marry the daughter, even though it's not your daughter. Let's say your father raped someone or he's mafata someone. You're allowed to marry her. Again, your son, right? You're not allowed to marry your son's wife, but he's just ma'anis her. It's not considered kaloso. We mentioned this a couple of times in the Masechta, that also included in the Isra of Eishes Av, right? One of the arayos is to marry your father's wife, even if she's not your mother. If your father rapes a woman, he doesn't get married to her. He's mafata a woman out of wedlock. She would still be us. She would be included in the Isra in the Torah of arayos. According to Yehuda, the Rabbanan argue on that. The Gemara says, "I need allowed the Tana Rabbanan." We taught what's taught in the Mishnah. The Tana Rabbanan, Anas Isha Mutra Lisa Bita. If you rape a woman, you can marry her daughter. Obviously, not the daughter from a different marriage. Nas Isha Asha Lisa Bita. If you married a woman, right, you can't marry her daughter. Raminu Hanitan Mina Isha Asher Bi'ima Bita Bachosa. Let's say you're suspected of being together with a woman, obviously outside of wedlock. You're Asher. The Torah, the Brisa says you can't marry her krovim, her mother, her daughter, and her sister. So that's only the Rabbanan. The Mishnah says you can get married lechatchila. So if it's Asr with the Rabbanan, you should say if it b'di'evet it's okay, but you're not allowed to do lechatchila. The Mishnah says you can do it lechatchila. It's talking about after the woman you raped, she died. So therefore, then you can marry her daughter. How do you know this is true? In most of the arayos, it says the lashon shchiva. You shouldn't be shochet with her. You shouldn't lie with her. When it comes to marrying, right, a woman and her daughter, it says kicha, marriage. When you're married to the woman, you can't marry her daughter. You can't be with her daughter. I'm like Papa. Your Papa said to by your sister. Marrying your sister. You're allowed to sleep with your sister. You're not allowed to marry her. It says when it says l'kuchen in the Torah, it's ambiguous. It doesn't go either way. Right? When it makes sense to be talking about to make a difference in shchiva, sleeping with her, and kicha, like by ones or nisuin, by a daughter and her a woman and her daughter, then we interpret it as kicha. When it comes to your sister, obviously the kicha means even sleeping with her. Why would we think that's mutter? Rava Amar. Anas Isha Mutra Lisa Bita Mahacha, a different makor. The Chesiv Erbas about Pincha or Bas Bitcha Lo Segala. You're not supposed to uncover the nakedness of the daughter of your son or the daughter of your daughter altogether. Habas Bina Dida or Bas Bita Dida Gali. It implies from this pasuk that if it's the grandson, the granddaughter of your wife, you could marry. The Chesiv Erbas Isha Bita Lo Segala as Bas Bina Bita Lo Tikach. Different pasuk says you can't marry a woman and her daughter or granddaughter, right? In general, so okay, the kama ons and kama nisu, and the pasuk that implies that you could is talking about if you're ma'anish the woman and then her daughter or her granddaughter you can marry her. But if you're married to the woman, then you can never marry her daughter or granddaughter, even though it's from a different man. Epachan, I say the opposite. I say maybe it's worse. If you rape her, maybe you get penalized more. When you don't get penalized. Whereas there's arayos sher ksiv b'hu. The concept of rights is based on kinship, based on familiarity, being part of the family. When you're married to a woman, she's part of the family. Her your stepdaughter or your step granddaughter a part of the family. But onsin like a share, when you rape someone, you're not related to her. So therefore, it's out of the question. Her daughter, her granddaughter are not related to you, and therefore it's mutter. Yehuda oser b'anusas aviv. Yehuda is machmir. He treats that a woman that your father raped is also an erva. Chayav kares. Amar Rav Gidal Amar Rav. My time with the Yehuda. What's the reason of Yehuda? Dichsiv lo yikach ishes eishes aviv legal knaf aviv. Says you can't marry your father's wife, right? Lo yigal knaf aviv. It's actually an ambiguous statement. You shouldn't uncover the knaf, the robe, the underwear of your father. Knaf shara aviv, underwear that your father saw underneath. Lo yigala. Must be talking about an onus. My danusak. How do you know it's someone an onus? Dichsiv malei dekra. Because before this pasuk says in Parsh Kisei, before that was talking about the Parsha of onus. So you see, that's Yigala Knafov. It's talking about onus for Rabbana. What do they do? There's a juxtaposition over here. You have a samichle. If they were right next to each other, it's not exactly next to each other. First it says Lo Yikach Ishes Haishes Aviv, and then it says Yigala Knafov. So there's an interposition of Lo Yikach Ishes Haishes Aviv. Now that they're not next to each other, Mibayach the Rav Anan. What's the Yigala Knafov? What's the intent of that pasuk? The Amar Rav Anan Mashmul B'Shemeres Yevamos Aviv Akasam Medaber. And normally, not only you can't marry your father's wife, but even your father has his brother died without children, and he is waiting to do yibum with that woman. So then if you're together with that woman, that's also included in Eishes Aviv, but not a raping, not a woman who's raped by your father. Well, my Knaf Aviv, Knaf Aroy La Aviv. Knaf doesn't mean he didn't see her, he wasn't together with the Yevama yet. Knaf that's fit, that's going to be ready, going to be permissible for your father. Lo Yigala. Table claim is Shum Dodaso. That's already aser because it's your father's brother's wife, which is your aunt. So why do you have to tell me a new pasuk? To tell me that also. The Gemara says lavar lev b'shnei lavim. The Torah was an extra machmer over here. You get two. The Torah warned you twice. There's a third problem, and that she's yom l'shuk. You marry her, she has a zikas yom to your father, not to you. So it's yom l'shuk. That's all right. So ishes meis achutz al ish zar. You're right. In that case, you get 3 lavim. Maybe by the same alachar misa. Alternatively, you can say that the pasuk Galak Navav is talking about after the death of your father. The death of your father was doing the yibam. Now, there's not Yevam l'shuk anymore because once the father dies, if he's the only brother, she's pturim and achalisam and a yibam. No Yevam l'shuk anymore, but there would be even after your father's death. There's an isser of your aunt. It would be usher even after your father's death, and also be an isser of this legal knaf aviv would apply even after death also. So it'd be 2 instead of 3. So the Gemara says, now we have some riddles over here. If you like riddles, this is your Gemara. It's a little complicated, this Gemara, but it's not so complicated. Ach ma'av v'lom aim hu baila, the aim. V'ana barta the insase. You have the case where it's a brother from your father, but not from your mother. Who bala the aim, and this is the husband of your mother. Anna Barta Inzase, and I'm the daughter of the wife. I'm Rabbi Rachama the local of Yehuda, the Masisin. It's not like Rabbi Yehuda. This is talking about a case. I'll just read the article's footnote just to make this clear. It's a man who was ma'anis, a woman, and had a child, a woman, a girl, right? Then Reuven, who was Yaakov's son by some other woman, so Yaakov was ma'anis Leah, let's say, and they had a daughter named Sarah. I don't know. Okay, they had a daughter named Sarah, and Yaakov also had another son named Reuven from a different wife, which was probably a legitimate son. So Yaakov's son, meaning Reuven, he then went and married the woman his father violated. He married Leah. So the daughter can now say that Reuven, the daughter, meaning Sarah, can say that Reuven, her paternal brother, she shares, right? She shares a father, right? Reuven's father is Yaakov, and also Leah's father, Sarah's father is Yaakov, and then he married her mother. Right? That's what it says. Who Baala the aim? He married the mother. He married Leah. She was Anusa of the father. Ana Barta the Insase. I'm the daughter of his wife, right? Yaakov's wife, Leah. Not really his wife. It's not really his wife. It was Ones. This would not be according to Rabbi Yehuda, but according to Rabbi Yehuda, the son, Reuven, Yaakov's son, is Reuven, couldn't go ahead and marry Leah, the one he raped, because you can't marry the woman that your father raped, according to Rabbi Yehuda. All right, that's one riddle. Second riddle, Achu ubrihu achte ana dahai darina akadfe. Okay, the Gemara tells you what it's talking about. If a non-Jew, technically the post can point out could even be a Jew. It's just we don't. These are bias isurim. All these are averas that are being done. We rather attribute to a non-Jew. So a non-Jew, he's together with his daughter. Right? He's together with his daughter. So therefore, it's achu ubrihu. So let's say, and here they have another child, right? Meaning, this would be a pagan son here. Yeah, the article said the pagan's daughter and the child share the same father. Right. So the case is that Obed Chachamim had a relationship with his daughter and fathered a son by her. They had a son. So the child is at once her son and her paternal brother. That child is her son because it's her child and paternal brother because the child shares a father. They share a father. It's her father and the father of this child is the same father, so they're brothers also. So they share. So they're related like that also. So now there goes Achu Briu. All right, now we have another case. All right, Shamulach Bri Bar Achtech Ana Mashkach Lavacham Abal Bas Bito. So this case is talking about where a man has relations with his granddaughter. What the heck is going on? And fathered a son by her. So relation with the daughter's daughter and fathered a son. She is at once the child's mother. Right, she's the child's mother. Actually had it, and its paternal sister's daughter. She is now this daughter that they have is sisters with not she, but sisters with her mother, right? She's sisters with her mother, meaning her mother has the same father as his child, right? So the great grandchild, the same, and the first child, the second generation, is sisters or brothers with the original child of this father. All right, that's the third case. Shamulach Bri Bar Achtech Ana Mishkach Lavacham Abal Bas Bito. All right, next case. It's a similar case over here. This is a case where, again, he has a daughter. He has a grandfather has relations with his granddaughter. Where am I? I don't know what the heck is going on. Shamalach Bri Bas Achtech Ana Mishkach Lavacham Bas Bito. We did that already. Dalai Dalu Davla Lipo Becho Seiser Poster Dahai Darino Hu Barva Ana Bra Achva Mishkach Lavacham Bas Beno. So this is basically men who draw water with a pail. Let a mysterious riddle fall in your midst. So she says, "This is a child that I carry as my son, and I am his brother's daughter." So this is just very confusing for me, and it's easier just to read in the article. The child that I carry is my son, and I am his brother's daughter. So the child that I carry is my son. What is that? Mishkachas Bas Beno. He has a son. His father has a son, and then his son has a daughter. So this is his granddaughter. And then the grandfather had another child with the granddaughter. So she is at once this daughter, the child's mother. I'm sorry, the granddaughter is the child's mother, and its paternal brother's daughter, right? She is the niece. I mean, and it's paternal brother's daughter. Because she's the daughter of her father, shares brotherhood with this child. This child, which is a great grandchild, shares the same father as the granddaughter's father, so they're brothers. So okay. Baya baya ma'ach v'hu av v'hu bal v'hu barbal v'hu bala de'im v'ana barte isse v'lo yayiv pita la'achva achva yasme. Okay. So heichem mishkachas la mishkachas la l'chama ba'al imo. This is a very complicated case. A non-Jew is together with his mother. The holy women a bat. They had a child together, they had a daughter together, right? V'chazro ba'al osa bas. And then this non-Jew was together with his mother. He had a daughter with her, and then he was together with this daughter, right? Which is technically his daughter also, and his sister. V'chazar zakein u'ba'al leah. And then again, this guy had a third bia. He was together with his daughter from his mother. He had a daughter, and then he was together with his daughter. V'holid men upon him, and they had children. So in such a case, you find all these things because thus the first pagan, the non-Jew, is at once her father, right? And he's her mother's husband, because he was together with her, as well as her maternal brother, her husband, right? They're brother and sister because he was with her, and the son of the second husband. He is also the paternal brother of the children whom the grandfather sired, who were orphaned by the grandfather's death. So, so he's together with his mother, and he's together with his daughter, who's also his sister, and they have a child, and then again he's together with his daughter. So he's together with three generations: his mother, his daughter from his mother, which is his sister, and then his daughter from his sister, which is his daughter. And then he has grandchildren from that. They have sons. So basically, woe is to me, ma'ach v'hu v'ab, because my brother who is my father, right? Who baal who bar is my husband, is my husband's son. Who bala de'im was my mother's husband. I'm his wife's daughter. He goes over bread so often. He doesn't give bread. Apparently, he was a very cruel guy. He's together with everybody, but he's not giving to his own grandchildren. He's not going to give food to them. All right. The next case: anav achi, anav avuch achi, anav imech achi. How is that possible? He's together with his mother, right? And he has two daughters with her. And then then he's together with one of those daughters and has a son from them. So the child's mother's sister, i.e. the other daughter, calls to him and speaks to him this way, meaning he had two daughters from the mother. So that other sister who was not together with him again, she calls to the son, meaning it's our nephew. She calls him like that. Ana v'avucha achi, ana ant v'at achi. You and I are siblings, right? They're technically siblings because they share the same father. Ana v'avucha achi, your father and I are siblings, right? And your mother and I are siblings. Your mother, right? We were sisters. We were born from this person being together with his mother. And your father and I are siblings. Your father was originally shared the same mother as he created a sister, right? He was together with his mother, so they both share a mother. That's the penultimate case. And the final one, anav at b'nei achi, anav avuch b'nei achi, anav imech b'nei achi. How is this possible? This actually can be found in a permissible way. Reuven three brothers, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Reuven has two daughters. Shimon goes and marries one of them. Right? He's allowed to marry his niece. Bar Levi and Levi's son, not Levi, but Levi had a son who went and married the other one. Kamar Le Bray the Shimon, the Bar Bray the Levi. And that is the son of Shimon is saying to the grandson of Levi, because they each had children. So he's saying, Ana Ad Bnei Achi, you and I are the children of siblings. We're the children of siblings because we both married the daughters. Ana Avuch, meaning where our mothers are the siblings. Ana Avuch Bnei Achi, your father and I are the children of siblings, right? Because his father, your father and I are the children of siblings, and your mother and I are the children of siblings. You can just figure out these cases. I don't know. Read an art scroll, read the footnotes. I give up. All right, let's go on. Mishnah, a convert, a woman who converted with her children. It happens. Usually mothers convert along with their children. Right? If they were to die, the children, the sons, there's no chalitza yibam with the other remaining brother. Even the first one was with not in kedusha, meaning he was just conceived, the first brother, when they were still goyim. And he was born after the gerus happened. The second brother was born after they already converted and conceived also. The same thing would apply to a maidservant who was freed, Shifcha Knaini, she was freed, right, in the similar circumstances as the gerus. Gemara says, Bnei Yudan Amsa Ishtachor. Bnei Yudan, these people from Yudan, was the case of an Amsa Ishtachor. Shara Lahu Rav Achar Yaakov Leminsiv Nashi Dehadadi. And they were two brothers from a Shifcha, and they were freed. I guess, and one was like Harasa Shalom B'Kedusha, one was like Das B'Kedusha, Harasa Das B'Kedusha. Rav Achar Yaakov allowed them to marry each other's wives. He considered them not related at all. They weren't brothers at all. We know Katan Shanola Gershik Shinis Gayak, Katan Shanola Dama, they weren't brothers at all, and they can marry each other's wives. It's not an issue problem of Eshasach. Amalei Rava Baharav Sheshes Aser. Sheshes Aser in this case. Amalei who Aser? Who cares? Rabbi Sheshes was a different rabbi. I mattered. So the Gemara explains the Machlokes. Mina Av Lo Mina Aim Kuli Amal Pligi the Shari. If they're just brothers paternally but not maternally, everyone agrees they're mutter. Right? If they just share the same mother, not the same father, everyone gets asr because of Xer Rabbanan over here. Even though they're technically not brothers at all, they're not brothers because once you convert, you're not related to your siblings anymore. But they were choshesh because then people who are really children, and children go usually by their mother, brothers go by their mother. It's going to come, brothers are going to marry the wives of their brother when it's not a makom of yibum. Let's say they shared a mother and a father. Madashari, the one, Rav Racham Yaakov Matri, Basar Avashadina. You go after the father. Dabne Planya Karalu. People go call the children after the father. Shesh Karalu Nami Blene Plonus. Shesh says no. They also mention the mother when they're talking about the brotherhood of these brothers. Vikad Amar Palgar Racham Yaakov Afil Ba'achim and Aim. Yaakov was Matri even when they're just brothers from the mother. My time. He didn't make Xer. Gershon's Kar Katan Shanola. They're not brothers at all. Technically, with Araisas. They wasn't goes there. Our Mishnah says, my time. They can't do chalitza yibam. My time. Lamishum da Siri. Isn't it a proof to Rav Sheish? The reason chalitza yibam is because they're usher. So you see that there is brotherhood. They just can't do chalitza because or yibam. They can't do yibam. The reason they can't do yibam is because of Eshasach, right? No, sorry. So the Maria says is low. Rabbi Yaakov would answer the Eina B'Torah's chalitza. The Yibam. They're not in the contract of Chalitza Yibam, and they're allowed to marry each other. Sharia, La'alma. Nami Shari, and also mutter to each other. Haksani Afilu, but the Mishnah says even. Yeah, remember Shlama Asiri. If we say normally, in this case, the brothers are Aser. Haksani Afilu. Even in the Avakav, the Rishon, Horas Shalabak Dusha, as opposed to cases where they were born and conceived when they were Goyim, and then they converted. Even in this last case, Avakav, the Rishon, Horas Shalabak Dusha, the first one, his conception was when he was a goy, when the parents were a goy, but then they converted. But he was born a Jew. It's like two different mothers because the mother is based on conception, and she conceived one as a Jew and one as a non-Jew. Afilu haki asiri. That's even though you think it's mutter over there, it's like shtei mos, right? So therefore, they're not related at all, and Rav Sheshes wouldn't be gozer. Afilu haki asiri, still a gozer, because of the problem. People will consider them brothers. Eliyamris sharu. If you'll say that they're mutter, my afilu. If they're always mutter like Racham or Yaakov, what does it mean afilu? The afagav teravayil yasam kedusha. So the Gemara says the afagav teravayil yasam kedusha. They were both born as Jews. V'asi achlufa b'Yisrael, and they might be. In this case, they're both born as Jews. People will assume that they're Jewish. They won't worry about the mother. They won't talk about the mother. Afilu haki shari. They're still mutter. Igad the amri. Alternatively, hakanam mistabra the sharu. Actually, for a mishnah, it makes sense like Racham or Yaakov. They're mutter. They're sani afilu. Right? There's really a problem. They might get mixed up. You might say even two real brothers, Jewish brothers, can marry Eishasach when not in a contract with Yibum Chalitza. Still there's mutter. The Asiri. If you say both Asr, my afilu, the Alphagav, the Rishon, the Rosh Kedusha, the Das Kedusha, Sheni Rosh the Das Kedusha, the Kshtei Mos Dami, afilu Hachi Asiri. No, it does make sense according to Rav Sheshes. Even though it might be, you might think they're completely unrelated because the conception, one was as a non-Jewish woman, one was a Jewish woman. You might think it's like two different mothers. Still, are worried to make Xera. They might get confused with two really real brothers, and therefore we ask her Eishasach. Okay, we're going to stop here. As in today's shir. I hope you enjoyed today's shir. Stick around for Yom Ben Sion. Coming up a little later. I gotta go pick up my daughter from Gan now, so we'll have to do it later. Bye.